Hey guys, let's talk about Linea's top meme, Foxy, today. So, not like I think I'm overly known by any means as being this super hype, bullish type of YouTuber, but that's not what this video is today. All right, this is not a hype video. This is not going to be me going into price predictions. I have plenty of videos like that, and feel free to check them out if you haven't already. But I have had several people keep asking about Foxy videos, what's going on with it. So, here we're going to go. Right? And this is not me telling you either that Foxy's going to zero or you're going to make millions from it. Right? Foxy was one of the earliest memes on Linea, and it was the earliest meme in my portfolio as well. Right? And for a period of time, it mattered. Today, Foxy has shrunk significantly. The volume's incredibly thin. And most people, if you're watching this video right now, you probably either just got into Foxy and are curious. If so, great entry time for you guys. Or what I'm going to say is probably more likely, you bought a while ago and you're down and you're trying to figure out what the fuck is worth your time to do with this token. So instead of pretending otherwise, this video is going to be an autopsy on Foxy about what has worked, what has failed, what's left, and I guess a little bit about maybe what Foxy can teach us about meme coins in general, or make sure you get a lesson from everything. Right. So that's why I'm deep diving into this video in the next 10 or so minutes. As always, put your questions and comments below. If you get anything useful from this, please do press the like and subscribe button, and let's talk a little bit about Foxy. So, like a lot of other coins, Foxy did have a very good run if you look at from where it started down the low end, where it went up, ignoring where it is now. Right? And it did pretty well for a short period of time and had nothing to do with utility or fundamentals. It was mostly timing and positioning. Right? First, it launched early in the Linea ecosystem. There was few native tokens. There was little competition in the Foxyverse in terms of memes. Early capital needed to go somewhere. Second, it had a simple and recognizable meme branding. I mean, a lot of it looked like, again, MetaMask. Or if you are closer to 40 than you are 30 or 20s, you might recognize it as the Mozilla Firefox. It's what I first saw it as. Right? And this stuff matters early when memes first come out. Complex memes don't win at first. Third, liquidity was very concentrated, right? There weren't dozens of Linea memes fighting for the attention yet. And Foxy definitely benefited from the capital density, not superiority at that time. So I guess we can look back at it, which is perfectly fine in this instance. Foxy wasn't necessarily strong, it might have just been early. And this distinction will come as a factor in a little bit when I talk about where we are right now. But with all crypto, timing, when you get in and when you get out matters. And if you feel like you got in at a bad time, like many of you probably did with Foxy and several other coins for that matter right now, it's okay if you got in at a bad time. Are you willing to wait until the next good time to get out? Are you going to spend a lot of time at a good time, potentially now, of DCAing to bring the average down or find ways to get more free crypto of the same or different variety? So Foxy was released a little bit before Linea, right? The main ecosystem that Foxy drives into and that it's the mascot of. So Foxy had a good timing start. It pumped pretty well from where it started. They did great airdrops campaigns, which is how I learned about Foxy in the first place. I was transferring stuff out of MetaMask at least once a week. And at one point, they just, boom, dropped a bunch of this Foxy down onto my MetaMask wallet. Looked into it, bought some more. It was great. But when Foxy first started going, they got this good push. What they were kind of relying on outside of a general alt season, like almost all other crypto, was for Linea to explode out the gates when it first came out, and that didn't happen. Linea got the hype, people got into it, they invested in Linea. They didn't necessarily play on the Linea ecosystem as much, which would have been better for all Linea tokens, not just Foxy. But people bought the Linea token, watched it go up, and then people who bought down here, we know what they did, right? They sold. Everything dropped, and now everyone thinks it's a shitcoin. But since there wasn't the major TVL liquidity, and we'll call it playing around on the ecosystem to bring in more liquidity, Foxy and Linea kind of just dropped off. And again, timing of the markets mattered. I don't want to make it seem like these companies did a bad job. They didn't. Just things don't always work out the way that we intend or plan. Look at most people's crypto plan for alt season this cycle. Probably didn't go the way that you wanted. But between Linea not having the active growth on it right now, development side, they're doing pretty well. But in terms of retail getting on and and doing things on it, Linea kind of slowed down and stopped. The market hasn't helped. Foxy kind of has slowed down and stopped. So it kind of lost its edge, and we're waiting for the next catalyst or some sort of evolving narrative, right? At the very least, Foxy's kind of still stayed the same while the market has kind of started to move on. We'll take a look at the charts. But when you have just a meme that is relying on another crypto, either we need the meme narrative pump or the other crypto it's relying on to pump. And this market's been hard for a lot of it. So we're just kind of suppressed and down. Next, I have people say this about literally every crypto, from Bitcoin to Shiba to pick every single coin that you have in your portfolio. I mean, there's literally someone has called it a scam or a shit coin. And it's almost always because they bought too high. But Foxy did not rug. It is not going to zero. I am incredibly confident about that, just because, again, of everything that's backing it up. It didn't implode overnight. I don't expect it to explode overnight, right? But the decline did appear for Foxy specifically to go down relatively slowly when you compare it to a lot of other crypto that was around the same market cap, right? Between like the 2 to 10 million. Yeah, it's that freaking small, right? It bled a lot slower. And you can look at this as a good thing or a bad thing. That's up to you to decide. But we see it over gradual lower highs, weaker bounces, declining volume, and then that brings down liquidity, and then it kind of held. It's starting to tick back up, but everything short term until proven over time that it's not. So some quick generalized metrics that I saw when I was looking into how's Foxy actually doing. Price structure, again, gradual decline. It hasn't reclaimed any key or prior resistance levels yet. And it's been hard to reclaim bounces where it comes down up and it keeps getting pushed back down, saying no. So this is telling us that sellers are still controlling the momentum. There is still a decent amount of Foxy holders out there. Like the wallet count of holders hasn't really gone down. And it's gone down a little bit, but not what you'd expect for the amount of price difference that made. So now I kind of alluded to this before, but one of the key things in really any investing, specifically crypto, is what point do you buy? What price do you sell? And if you bought too high, what can you do to bring that average down so you can sell lower than what you first bought and still make a profit? Or to make it easier to achieve whatever goal it is that you have financially. So when I hear someone say, because I've heard someone recently tell me that Foxy's a shit coin. And my only question I had was, presuming you bought it, where did you buy it at? The guy's response was fuck off. So I mean, I didn't get an exact, but the point still very much came through. When people see prices plummet, they wait for so long, they sell off, they take a loss, and instead of holding themselves accountable to, I made bad timing, we get to go ahead and play in some sort of digital code that turns into a picture of a fox onto it. So if you feel like you bought too high, are you going to do anything about it? And if so, what? And realize that first one was a question. You don't have to do anything about it. You can sit and wait. If your average is still up there 5x from right now or more, you can sit and wait and hold out. It's all based on your timing and your belief of what it's going to do down the road. In terms of memes, I'm confident Foxy's still going to be around in several years. But that's just my confidence level. You got to find out what yours is. Maybe you can DCA with just a small percentage of what you've already put into it, or you take profits for something else and move it into Foxy or any other crypto, right? This is not just Foxy specific here. Bring the average down. So again, you can sell at a lower point and still make profits from it. But panicking is not a plan. Panicking is typically what happens when you don't have a plan or when you're caught off guard. So you start seeing yourself panic, calm the F down and make a plan. What are you going to do about it? On the positive side is, at least for me, my perspective, I really like Linea. I'm not in it yet or in Linea the token yet, but I do think it's going to be a big part of my bear market plan when we get into what I think is the big bear. Again, I think we're still going to have a good run up, at least a solid relief rally. I don't think we're in that 6 to 18 month bear market, but when I think that we're there, I'm probably gonna start messing around a lot in Linea and base. And if Linea does well, Foxy is very likely to do well as well. So it's a give and take. Like, oh well, if Linea does crap, Foxy is probably going to do crap, long term. Right? If Linea does well, Foxy will probably do well because they're going to keep pushing Foxy as the number one meme, or if it ends up not being the number one meme, like in terms of popularity and selling, they'll call it the original meme or something else to give it its own little highlight space. Not to mention they're looking using for rewards and gas fees and several other aspects of a couple of different chains. So there's definitely reasons I could see why someone would want to hold on to Foxy. It really comes down to what are your thoughts, what are your beliefs, and if you don't have enough information to have a thought or belief, do your own research, man. So let's take a couple of minutes, look at the charts real quick, see if there's something worth talking about there. So if we're looking here at Foxy, this is the 5-day chart. And nothing to get too excited about, but it does look good. But we need this pattern to continue. I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys, look at this. This is freaking awesome. No, it's a good sign. And it does happen to have started right around tax farming ending, right? Got to get it done by the end of the year. And we have had a decent uptick in the last day and a half or so, at least at the time of this recording. We are now above all of the EMAs. That's a big deal. We haven't really had that or held that for so long. We got small little blips back here earlier in the week, but this is looking pretty good on momentum. Yes, we have a decent little red candle here, but this little guy here has a pretty nice candle wick, the thin line right here at the top, which is good news, even though it's red. So real quick, if you guys aren't very versed in what this is, I can zoom in this so you can see this picture a little bit better. But this little red thin line here, again, that's not a huge candle. Love to see one come up to here a little bit. But when we're in the red and we see a little wick, it lets us know at one point during the day, it got up to here and then it ended up coming back down. So the beginning of the day, we started here, it came up and then came back down. When we see more of these, usually then it goes in the opposite direction. Again, usually, meaning over 51% of the time, right? Technical analysis isn't perfect. But this is a decent sign for the next day moving back up again, right? Let's expand back to the month or more. We're here at the month, and this shows more of the realistic pictures of how things are. To even see the month, I got to keep shrinking this so we can see what even happened at the beginning of December. But this does give a good idea of honestly how it's just been underperforming. Again, these colored lines are the EMAs. We want to be above those. And for a long period of time, we were fighting under it as we were going down. Not good. So this is the relief we want to see. So if you want to keep any eye on Foxy for short-term or moderate-term growth, I would say you want to keep an eye, make sure that we're staying above the EMAs, the 10, 20, 15, 200 day. At least that's what I'm going by. And we want to see a little bit more trading volume. So we need to see more trading volume and to keep at least steady over the EMAs. We got some potential good news coming, and January could be bullish in general. So guys, there you have it. Sorry if there's a little bit of a hodgepodge or a little bit more of a rambling video, but I have a lot of people ask about crypto that have just been going down, which has been essentially all of them, right? And just want to be realistic about the situation. I still own Foxy, and I'm sticking to my plan. If you guys haven't seen or haven't heard, as I reiterated small parts of it, have your own plan, but alt season did not turn out the way that we wanted it to, right? At least not yet. And I'm big on don't lose money, make your goal of money. Those are the rules in that order, right? And so a decent part of my portfolio was moderate to higher risk plays to sell for altcoin season. And since we haven't had that yet, I've got my own backup plan that I'm going to start the third week of this month in January if we don't have any real good sense of an alt season or a big crypto push coming, which we still very well might. But currently, third week of January, any of my micro caps that I am up in profit in, I'm going to sell the profits and keep the rest in. By the third week in February, if we do not have a big push or some real signs of an altcoin or crypto push, I'm going to sell all or almost all of my micro caps, even if they're at a loss, because I don't mind accepting a loss if it's thought out and I understand what I'm doing with it. And what I would do is I would trade those in for large caps that I have a lot more conviction in for the long term. Where like if I sold Foxy for a 25 or 30% loss and I put it into Quant or Hbar or XRP or Ethereum or Solana or Bitcoin, etc., I'm confident that over time those are going to go up. All right. So at the very least, if I can't chase short-term money, I will put my small caps into lower risk plays to make money longer term. So I'll talk to you guys about that if it ends up happening. Obviously, I hope all of our coins go up to the moon and we just have to fight over who's selling when. So that way this player versus player game of alt season can have a little bit more fun for us. But those are my thoughts. Sorry for a longer video. I was doing better at keeping them under 12 minutes. But I'll catch you guys all again soon. Let me know your thoughts down below and be fucking wonderful.